Hello students, today we shall see the poem Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. This is a very interesting poem. You will enjoy as we journey through this. Now, let's see about the poet Robert Frost. Robert Lee Frost was born on March 26, 1874 and died January 29, 1963. He was an American poet. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. He is highly regarded for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. His work frequently employed settings from rural life in New England in the early 20th century, using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. One of the most popular and critically respected American poets of the 20th century, Frost was honored frequently during his lifetime, receiving 4 Pulitzer Prizes for his work. Now, let us see about the poem. This poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, is one of Robert Frost's finest poems. It was written in 1922 and was published in 1923 in his volume New Hampshire. You could see the picture here how Frost was going back to his home after his work, and as he was passing through a forest where he stopped to enjoy the beauty of snowfall and the flakes. Robert Frost won Pulitzer Prize and vast recognition as an important American writer for this collection. He wrote this poem while living in the village of Franconia in New Hampshire. The text of the poem reflects the thoughts of a lone wagon driver, that is the narrator, pausing at dusk in his travel to watch snow falling in the woods. It ends with reminding himself that despite the loveliness of the view, he have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Now, let's read the beautiful lines of this poem. Let me read it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the lines. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmer's near. Between the woods and the frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, where I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Now, we shall see the introduction of this poem. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening was written by the American poet Robert Frost in the year 1922, and it was published in the year 1923. As part of his collection New Hampshire, the poem is told from the perspective of a traveler who stops to watch the snow fall in the forest, and in doing so reflects on both nature and society. Frost claimed to have written the poem in one sitting. Though this is slightly apocryphal, it would have been particularly impressive. due to the poem's formal skill. It is written in perfect iambic tetrameter and utilizes a tight knit chain rhyme characteristic to form called the Rubaiyat stanza. Now we shall see the summary. The speaker thinks about who owns the woods that he or she is passing through and is fairly sure of knowing the landowner. However, the owner's home is far away in the village and thus he is physically incapable of seeing the speaker pause to watch the snowfall in the forest. The speaker thinks his or her horse must find it strange to stop so far from any signs of civilization. Indeed, we are surrounded only by the forest and a frozen lake on the longest night of the year. The horse shakes the bells on its harness as if asking if the speaker has made a mistake by stopping. The only other sound besides the ringing of these bells is that of the wind and the falling snowflakes, which the speaker likens to the feathers of goose down. The speaker finds the woods very alluring, drawn both to the darkness and how vast and all encompassing they seem. However, the speaker has obligations to fulfill elsewhere. Thus, though he or she would like to stay and rest, the speaker knows there are many more miles to go before it will be possible. Dear students, there are few themes explored in this poem. Let us see the themes one by one. The first theme is social obligation versus personal desire. Though the speaker is drawn to the woods and the poem subtly suggests, would like to stay there longer to simply watch the falling snow. Various responsibilities prevent any lingering. The speaker is torn between duty to others, those who pesky promises to keep, and his or her wish to stay in the dark and lovely woods. The poem can thus be read as reflecting a border conflict between social obligations and individualisms. We see the next topic as hesitation and choice. Throughout the poem, the speaker seems to be stuck in a space in between society's obligations and nature's offer of solitude and reflection. Though the speaker reflects on the possibilities offered by each, he or she is ultimately never able to choose between them. In fact, the speaker's literal and figurative placement seems to suggest that choice itself might not even be possible because societal rules and expectations restrict the speaker's free will. In other words, beyond exploring the competing pulls of responsibility and personal desire on the speaker, the poem also considers the nature or mere possibility of choice itself. Let's also see the topic woods. The woods in Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening may represent not only the natural world that stands in opposition to the world of society and culture, but also the allure of individualism and even further the possible allure of death. On the one hand, the woods seem to epitomize a certain freedom for the speaker. In the woods, as in lines 1 and 4, the speaker can move easily and freely without the owner noticing. The woods offer the speaker a kind of radical freedom that is encumbered by the normal rules or regulations of society. such as rules of ownership that would make the speaker's actions into trespassing. In so doing, the woods also symbolize that freedom from those rules of society represented by the village in which the owner lives. Dear students, let's also see the poetic devices and figurative languages. The poetic devices are alliteration. Alliteration occurs frequently throughout the poem. It creates a musical quality that paired with the poem's meter and rhyme scheme, which makes the poem feel extremely polished. My dear students, hope you might have enjoyed this video and understood the poem. Our first Prime Minister, Honorable Nehruji, has written in his diary the last stanza, that is the last 4 lines. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. This has got dual meaning, that is, it says, but I have promises to keep. In the first line, it says, the woods are lovely, dark and deep. So he would like to sit and enjoy the scenery and the beauty. But at the same time, he realizes that he has got a lot of responsibilities which have to be accomplished. So he also says, my home is very far and I have to go miles and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. This also got another meaning, that as we live in this world, we need to accomplish our duties perfectly. We need to be very responsible in each and every activities we do. And we also are called to do it very honestly before we sleep. This sleep refers to the eternal sleep, that is death. My dear students, hope you have enjoyed this poem. I take leave now. This is from Dr. Joy Christina.